All right, everyone, welcome to the Tonto's Demise Week 4 recap. I am the Wizard of Winber. Tonto Bowl uh, 2, 8, 9, 13, 15, 18, and 21 champion. Um, uh, I don't know what to say because this season is just a bloodbath so far. I've had to go through some stuff, and it has not stopped every week. I prayed for it last week, said please don't give us any more of this shit. And Brian, Ed, both of you guys fell victim now. It's just been I mean it's not it doesn't happen every year, but this has been an exceptionally rough start to the season for a lot of people. So I mean, said after Burrow going down was tough pill for me to swallow. Lost Kittle right out of the bat. My quarterback goes down, but I can't sit here and be like, oh, woe is me, because obviously everybody's getting hit, and it's just turning into uh, really just a matter of survival. Eight of the 12 teams in the league are 2-2 right now. Who just really, it's becoming a matter of who is dodging the bullets, and the gun keeps firing. That's not stopping firing at us here. So, not gonna said I can't complain about the things happening to me because they're happening to everybody. So yeah, we'll get into those things though when we get into the matchups. Yeah, this year is just gonna be. This might. I don't know. I'm not sure anybody's gonna run away with it. Even though Justin is piling up victories here and doing some good stuff. He hasn't been free from the injury bug, but it still hasn't stopped him rising up to the top of the standings now. But everybody else has kind of been taking punches and just having to go through the motions here, and said fight through the battles and see who's going to win the war. And so basically, yeah, that's where we're at. All right, we always start with the defending champion, and that, of course, is Possum Magic. He was up against the winless Boomers Deep. Zach trying to avoid going 0-4 to start the season, and even though the Zach Dak connection, I don't know why you refuse to go away. You keep going away from it. You refuse to stick with it. It's driving me crazy. But Zach, you do get the victory this week. You finally get one. 185.55 to Possum Magic's 137.75. The power of purple, perhaps, losing its luster. Maybe I jinxed it last week by making... that's why purple... The power of purple was the logo for last week's YouTube video there. So what do we got for Zach? He goes with Jackson Dart, who scores 34 points in his rookie debut. Just got to mention here, Dak goes for 68. Another 35 points you would have been at 215, 220 if you had started Dak. Highest would have been the highest score of the year so far. But no, you just don't. I don't know what it is. You just don't. I don't know what it is about Dak. I wish I had him, but I don't. But anyway, yeah, still curious about what that trade offer was from Bigler, I'm going to guess that it involved Josh Allen and Dak. That would be my guess, but I don't know. Uh, yeah, oh gosh. You just got numbers up and down thanks to being, I mean, you had you had a lot of pieces of this Cowboys Packers 40-40 overtime tie here, Zach. So Dartmouth for 34, but then we got Justin Jefferson. He goes for 23. DK has a bink and goes for, actually ends up being, 26 and a half. Dobbs goes for 3 touchdowns, 30 points from him. Josh Jacobs, another 30-plus points from him. All the rushing touchdowns. Pacheco goes for 13. Trey McBride, 12. Cooper Kupp, 6.5. Boswell, your kicker, about 5.5. And then out of all of this mess, the Packers defense, 1 point according to Yahoo. Looks like you had the bink, so we had to add that. So it looks like maybe 4 points total from your Packers defense. But yeah, 20, 22, 23 from each one of your receivers, 30 from your running back. That's going to get you a victory more often than not. And it was more than enough to get past Possum Magic this week. He has Lamar Jackson get injured in that game. Only 25 points before he checked out. I think he has a hamstring injury. They're saying he's unlikely to play this week coming up, so we'll have to see what happens there. Probably why you picked up Justin Fields the other day, sometime Monday afternoon, thinking that maybe Jackson was going to be out, and he looks like he is. Kansas City just looked like they came to play this week. Guys, just got to say, feels pretty good to see. It never feels bad to see Baltimore Ravens out 1-3 here. All right, Sutton goes for 19. Jacoby Myers 7. Lee Olive goes for 8. Did he throw an interception? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta go now. I'm curious. I gotta go check this out. He's being listed as. Did he make a pass attempt and throw an interception? He must have. Huh. The Olive passing. Yeah, all right. He threw an interception. Obviously did not realize that till just now. Interesting. Derrick Henry, only 8 points. Jonathan Taylor, 14.5. Goddard, 2 touchdowns, goes for 20. Trey Benson coming in for James Conner. Another guy lost this year. 10.5 points. Fairbairn goes for about 10. And your Tampa Bay defense, Yahoo says 7. Possum looks like you got about a 9-point bump because you didn't have any binks. There were a lot of binks this week, but they were almost all Justin for some reason. I guess that was to make up for the 0 he got from missing Jalen Warren there being out in the 9 o'clock Dublin game. His team decided I think he had 4 binks, even including his kicker. Even his kicker said, don't worry, Justin, we got you. Anyway, we're not talking about Justin, even though we're talking about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense, one of the few pieces that Justin doesn't have. Let's see. Looks like you got a 9-point bump there to 16 from your defense. But yeah, you basically, Possum, you got clobbered by those Packers this week. Imagine if he had started Dak Prescott like the way he should have. This would have been almost a 100-point smackdown. But anyway, Boomers gets his first victory of the year. However, unfortunately, he still remains in the basement in 12th place. Possum Magic, I said, okay, 1-3, Zach is now, and Possum Magic, he drops to 2-2. He is in 5th place. We had quite a few things, way more than usual, matchups that came down to Monday night. Are there any that didn't? We'll talk about those first. I think Justin and Dubsy Hooligans, Darkwing Jet. This one was decided. already. Just Darkwing Jet gets the victory. We were just talking about him and all his binks. 195.25 to the Dubsy Hooligans. 143.6. All right, for Darkwing, he benches Baker Mayfield going against the Eagles. Puts in Matt Stafford. Turns out to be a great move with his bink, his 88-yard touchdown to the 2-2 train. How fitting that happened against Kevin Bean. 2-2 goes for an 88-yard touchdown. So that means Matthew Stafford went off this week for 66 points. We got Tet, we got Egbuka, we've got MHJ, 10.5, 20.5, 18.5 respectively. Bucky goes off for, Egbuka had a bink, so he was actually 23. And imagine, if you would have started Mayfield, you still win this matchup. He had two, he would have gotten 2 binks, but that would have only gotten him to 48 points, 49 points, instead of the 66 that Stafford went for. But anyway, Bucky Irving had a bink too, a reception from Baker Mayfield, so he had 28.5 points. Kyron goes for 10.5. Juwan Johnson, 6. Again, Jalen in the flex goes for 0. But all your other boys were like, you know what, we'll get you all these long touchdowns, and we'll just pretend like Jalen Warren scored 12 points instead of 0. So, McLaughlin, the Tampa Bay kicker, he kicked a 65-yard field goal, which, as you may or may not, you might not know, that counts too now. For a couple years now, you kick a 65-yard field goal, that's a bink, that's +3. Any score that's over 65 yards. So he actually got you about 20 points this week. And the Vikings defense, surprising turn of events. After last week clobbering Cincinnati, they actually lost this game to the Steelers. Yahoo says 8. Justin, so you got 12 points from Binks here. That would take you to 189. So you must have gotten about 6 points, about 14 from your defense. But yeah, you were right up against 200 points there. More than enough to get past Dubsy Hooligans this week. His Hurts A.J. Brown stack goes for a total of 38.4. Jalen Hurts goes for 36, and A.J. Brown 2 for 7. 2.7. Devontae goes for 15.5. Not too bad. Not the guy that you want. You want him in there to try to combat Justin Stafford there, hoping that Stafford funnels a lot of passes to your wide receiver. Not a bad stat line, but not the greatest. 15.5. Pearsall goes for 8.5. Jordan Mason 10. Hubba Bubba goes for 10. Also, Tucker Kraft 10.5. Javonte Williams 19. He might turn out to be one of the steals of the draft this year. Dicker the kicker goes for about 6. And then your Eagles defense finishing off the buns there. Yahoo says 20. Kevin, looks like you got... you didn't have any binks. Did you? No, you did not. Right. Looking at my list here. Yeah, they were pretty much all Justin. So Eagles D, what did you go from? You went from 20, that's already good, pretty good there. You must have gotten like 26 from your defense. But you just got clobbered by the top half of Justin's lineup there. Even his kicker goes for 20 points this week. Said Stafford almost doubled up your quarterback total. And that is always a recipe for disaster in Tonto's Demise. With the victory, Darkwing Jet moves to 3-1, and he jumps up to first place, while the Dubsy Hooligans drop to 2-2, and they fall to 7th place. All right, and I think those 2 matchups were done. Every other matchup, I believe, it looks like came down to Monday night, which we had 2 Monday night games this week, kind of unusual. Really not a fan of that, but as Gag's shirt would say, it is what it is. So let's get down to probably the least interesting one, was the Wizard of Wimber versus the now not so mighty Whites. Going up, Craig and Detling going up the head-to-head slugfest this week, and turned out to be not as close as some of Matt's other matchups, but perhaps just as painful because, as we already talked about on the lineup there, not so mighty Whites would have defeated most of the teams in the league this week. There's only 3 teams that you would not have beaten, and one of them is who you got matched up with. The Wizard of Wimber takes this one down 199.25 to Not So Mighty Whites 180.15. This one came down again to Monday night. I believe I was down about 18 points or so, and I had the Broncos kicker and their defense. Detling's team was done, and I believe the total for the Denver defense was 33. And then all Lutz did, unfortunately, was kick a couple extra points there. So I needed 18, and I think I got about 37 to put Not So Mighty Whites away for the week here. May goes for 39. Puka also goes for 39. DJ Moore goes for 8. Io Minor goes for 6.5. Travion, 12.5. Gibbs, 17.5. Ferguson, 17. ETN goes for 22.5. And then again, Lutz for 4, and the Broncos defense for 33. So yeah, those basically 3 30-point scores there. Some solid teen scores. ETN getting 20-something, and just getting close to 200, but not quite there this week. Was enough to get past the Mighty Whites this week. Gets Brock Purdy back, but he goes for 43.5. Throws a touchdown pass to your boy Christian McCaffrey there, getting him, 92 of Purdy's 309 yards, passing yards, went to Christian McCaffrey this week, including a touchdown pass. Purdy went for 44, while CMC went for 26. Adunze, another touchdown for him. He goes for 17. Drake London goes for 25. Pittman, 15. Tough one here. David Montgomery in the Gibbs versus Montgomery lined up there. Only 12 rushing yards for him in this matchup, 1.2. Hunter Henry, plugged him in to try to combat Drake May probably. Worked out good because Hunter only caught 2 passes, but one of them was a touchdown. One of Drake May's touchdowns. He went for 12 points. Swift went for 16. Butker goes for about 12. And then another big factor here, the Chargers defense worked out as I kind of hoped it would. Said going to the East Coast, playing an early game, and didn't really do too well against the Giants there. Yahoo says 9. Matt, you did not have any binks there, so you got, looks like a very small bump to 312, probably 12 points from your defense. But yeah, ended up being a 19-point difference here. You needed a little bit more from Montgomery. And your defense needed to play better against a rookie quarterback. No, I don't think they had any. Not sure you had any turnovers or anything. But yeah, you'd like to see more from those two, and perhaps this matchup goes the other way. This was no 180 points, nothing to hang your head about. Just didn't go your way this week, which has kind of been the story of the season so far for the Mighty Whites. With the victory, the Wizard of Wimber moves up to 2-2, and now all the way up in 6th place, while the Not So Mighty Whites drops to 1-3, just above the basement, saying hi to Zach. In 11th place. All right, what else? Oh, I forgot to mention Possum Magic in the previous matchup. He is this week's elimination from the knockout pool. All right, then we got we're gonna get progressively closer and closer with each matchup here. So the next closest was Shawshank Athletics versus Disco. I'm not exactly sure what the margin was here. I think it was about 30 points that Josh was ahead by going into Monday night. He had Jalen Waddle, while Disco had to be feeling pretty good after that George Pickens performance. He had Ashan, he had Brees, and he had Jamar Chase all on Monday night. But yeah, unfortunately for Disco, just those three guys just could not quite get you there as Josh holds on for the victory, about a 5-point victory, 179.7 to 174.55. So yeah, just crazy close matchups this week. So many of them made it really exciting. It feels good to be on the good side of one of those. You hate to be on the bad side, but said it doesn't matter to me what side I'm on. Just like to see this stuff. Whether you feel the glory or you feel the pain, it makes it way more exciting, in my opinion, than having all the matchups being uncompetitive blowouts. But yeah, so this was an exciting week to watch. 179 to 174 for Shawshank. We got Mahomes going for 55. Debo goes for 20. Waddle on Monday night there went for 8. Perhaps one of the biggest surprises of the season here. Quentin Johnston, the butt of so many jokes over the past couple years. He's showing us all now. He goes for another 24 points. Bijan goes for 28. Walker goes for 12. Hawkinson, 8. Scatterbo goes for 13. Clittle, the Jacksonville kicker, the Clittle goes for about 8 also. And then your Washington Commanders defense. Josh, I think that was the correct score. 4 points from your Washington defense at Atlanta. They were Bijan, big factor here. You're getting either something one way or the other from either one of them, and it ended up being Bijan. So you only got 4 points from your defense, but fortunately it did not cost you. It almost did, but not quite. For Disco, we got Josh Allen going for 42 points. Pickens goes off for multiple touchdowns, over 100 yards, 33.5 points. Jameson, 6. Keon, 7.5. Ashan goes, your Monday night guys, Ashan goes for 17. Brees goes for 16. And Jamar in the flex went for 7.5. Kyle Pitts, 18 points here, perhaps. We're seeing the resurgence, or are we finally seeing the season that the fantasy pundits have been promising for like 4 or 5 years now from Kyle Pitts? He goes for 18. What's his game log actually look like? I think it's actually not too bad. 12, 7, 7, 18. Not terrible. Pretty decent from a tight end. They're hard to come by in these days in the NFL. But yeah, I said Chase went for 7.5. Loop goes for about 10. And your Chiefs defense, Yahoo says 15. You did not have any binks, so it looks like you got only an 18-point bump. Only a 3-point bump, I should say, to 18 from your defense. You would have liked to see a little bit more than that. But I think they did give up a lot of yardage to Baltimore, even though they won the game. They didn't really get many turnovers. Looks like they just had 1. But yeah, they did give up a lot of yardage, which took points away from you. Said 5-point difference here. All sorts of things that could have gone differently and changed the outcome of this matchup. But yeah, we got the results that we've got. Both of you guys are now 2-2. You're right. You're actually snuggled up against each other, with Shawshank being in 3rd place, while Disco right there behind, giving a little reach from behind, a little spooning, putting his arm around you, holding you tight, holding on to you, Josh, there, in 4th place, right below you, 3rd and 4th place here. So both guys 2-2. All right, then what was the next closest matchup? We got Hillbillies on PCP versus Ed Lager. Ed trying to stay undefeated and move to 4-0, but Hillbillies says, I don't think so. That's not going to happen, Ed, sorry. But yeah, both of you guys fire shots at each other and get taken out. Each of you have somebody get taken out. However, for Hillbillies on PCP, I believe he was down about 10 points going into Monday night. And just before checking out for the rest of the year, Tyreek Hill gets you just enough to get a victory here. So you needed about 9.5 points, and he got you 12.5. Said before being done for the, looks like he's done for the year. So yeah, about a 3-point difference here. Hillbillies on PCP gets the victory, 174.7 to 171.45. All right, Hillbillies, Goff, Amon-Ra stack. Amon-Ra almost scores as much as Goff. Goff goes for 29.5, and Amon-Ra goes for 26. 7 of Goff's 16 completions go to Amon-Ra, and both of his passing touchdowns. Nico goes for 12, so Tyreek went for 12.5, getting you just enough. Omari and Hampton looking pretty good on Brian's lineup instead of Detling's. All sorts of guys looking better this year on Brian's roster than where they started out. 30.5 points. Judkins goes for 21.5. He's going to be a stud, it looks like. The new Nick Chubb in Cleveland there. He's going to be an every week producer. Bowers goes for 9.5. Your big free agent splurge, Trey Tucker, goes for 4.2. Carlson, also the Raiders kicker, goes for about 5. And then your Steelers defense, Yahoo says 15. They saved your butt this week, Brian, by going for, looks like you did not have any binks, so about a 9-point bump to 24 from your Steelers defense. Enough to squeak past Ed Logger and give him his first defeat of the year. All right, his Herbert, Keenan Allen stack. Herbert, looks like he didn't have any, I don't know if he had any touchdowns. He went for 36, while Keenan Allen goes for 9. And then the big one here, Malik Neighbors, only 4 points before tearing his ACL. He's done for the year also. We feel your pain here, Brian and Ed. Cook goes for another 25.5 points here. Finds the end zone again. Kamara goes for 11. Tyler Warren goes for 18. Zay in the flex goes for 14.5. Jake Elliott goes for about 8. And then your Houston Texans defense pitches a shutout. Gets you a pretty big score here. Looks like, actually, Ed, Yahoo says 20. Looks like you got a 21-point bump to like 41. Something like that. I don't think you had any binks. No. Did Houston? No. It was a Pats defense for Gags. Did we get to that one? I don't know. Yeah, we did. No, we didn't actually. What am I thinking? Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm off. I'm never prepared for this stuff. But anyway, yeah, you got like 40 points or so from your defense. Yeah. What can we say? A close matchup that all sorts of things that could have gone differently makes it go the other way. Maybe perhaps if Herbert throws a touchdown to Keenan, or if Keenan even just does a little bit more, 5 points from one of your receivers, just wasn't meant to be this week, despite your defense. Would have liked to see maybe another turnover or two from them. But yeah, a 3-point difference here. Basically, well, if one more turnover would have not... For Houston's defense, one more turnover would have only made this matchup painfully close. The result much more painful for you, Ed. But one more turnover and one more sack would have made this matchup way more painful for Brian. But anyway, we got what we got. Trying to come up with new... I don't want to say it is what it is over and over again, but it is what it is. Hillbillies on PCP. He moves up to 2-2. He is in 8th place, while Ed Logger drops to 3-1 and drops down to 2nd place. And then we had the closest matchup of the week. This one came down to Monday night. What do we got? It was Biscuits and Porn versus Gags to Riches. Biscuits had, who did he have? J.K. Dobbins. He had T. Higgins and J.K. Dobbins. While Gags had Garrett Wilson in the early game there. You didn't have anybody. That was it. That's all you had, right? For Jim, yeah. T and JK versus Garrett Wilson. Not exactly sure. I can't remember exactly what the difference was here. But yeah, I think Garrett Wilson, yeah, I didn't actually watch that game. But in the end, this matchup came down to Justin Fields on the last play of the game. Just turned into a scramble drill, hook and ladder, laterals, pass, whatever you want to, the backwards laterals, trying to do anything they could. Wilson threw his first pass of that scramble to Garrett Wilson for 17 yards, I think it was, before Garrett Wilson, lateraled it off to somebody else, and he got the 17 yards there. And that ends up being the factor. That last play of the game is the factor in this matchup. Gags gets the victory. 153.7 to Biscuits exactly 153. A 0.7 difference. All right, so Gags, what do we got? He got the Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas stack. Underwhelming so far this year. 34.5 points from Lawrence, only 10.5 from Thomas. Again, Garrett Wilson, he goes for 20.2. He also did catch a touchdown near the very end of that game, and then caught the pass that ended up being the deciding factor in this matchup, unbeknownst to him at the time. Xavier Worthy comes back and goes for 17. Saquon also 17. Kareem Hunt, 5.5. Brenton Strange, another Jacksonville receiver in your lineup. Also, just like Brian Thomas, he goes for 10.5. Godwin comes back. Good to see him back in the flex after that horrible injury last year. But he goes for 5.5. Aubrey, your kicker, goes for 7. And then another factor in this matchup, New England defense. They got a bink, I believe, on a kick return. Yahoo says 13. Gags, looks like we moved you up to about another 25 or so from your defense, and it was just enough to get past Biscuits and Porn this week. He's got Caleb Williams in there instead of Bo Nix. Who would have guessed that Bo Nix, in a matchup that was completely one-sided, and Cincinnati looked like they didn't even care to try. He put up 60 points this week on your bench. And Caleb Williams puts up 35. Perhaps a difference in this matchup, obviously. You would have liked Biscuits. You sure would have liked those extra 25 points, I'm going to guess. So you had T and you had J.K. Dobbins. T didn't really do too much. 6.2. JSN, speaking of not doing too much, Lad McConkey. Where is this guy? Keenan Allen is killing Lad McConkey. 2 points this week. God, what is Lad McConkey's game log? 13, 9, 8, 2. Oh, God, that's gross. JSN goes for 13. Ashton Genty pops off this week for 3 total touchdowns. In this matchup, he missed having a bink by 1 yard. He had a 64-yard touchdown. 1 yard. 36.5 points from him. Tony Pollard, 10.5. Johnny Smith, only 2.5. J.K. Dobbins, he tried his hardest. He carried his weight on Monday night there for you, Jim. He cracked 100 yards and got that 3-point bonus there. He got you 14.5 points, but just couldn't quite get there. Bates, your kicker, goes for about 14. And then your Buffalo defense, Yahoo says 12. Jim looks like 9 would be too much. So you got like 6 points, 18 points from your defense. But yeah, all sorts of things in a .7 point matchup here again. It was exciting to watch. Painful probably for the people involved. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that I know said it sucks when you're on the losing end of these things. But yeah, personally, said even though I was ended up on the good side of one of these. A week like this was just great. I loved it to watch Monday night and just not really caring what goes either way, but just seeing these matchups come down to the wire. Four of our 6 matchups said coming down to basically to the very end of the second Monday night game. Yeah, it's stressful. Yeah, it sucks when you lose. It's excuse me. It's fun when you win those, but stressful nonetheless. But yeah, this was if we could do this every week, I would love it. I would be in my glory. It was exciting to watch, at least in my humble opinion. All right, then what do we got here? Both of these teams are now 2-2. Gags is in 10th place, while Biscuits right above him in 9th place. And Gags, was it? What did we say? Did I fuck up and say? No, Gags got knocked out last week. Yeah, XXIII was the team knocked out this week. So yeah, Brian, me, Gags, and Tree are the guys already knocked out of the knockout pool. So yeah, we got 2 3-1s, we got 2 1-3s, and we got 8 2-2s. So yeah, 3rd place and 10th place are separated by only point totals here. Josh is over 100 points ahead of Gags in the point total there. But yeah, it's fun to see. I hope this season is it's shaping up to just be a dogfight. Doesn't matter how you win, just getting those wins, racking up points. Point totals probably going to be, as they quite often are, significant going down the line here. But yeah, said a couple more devastating injuries for our teams, some of our guys. Said Brian and Ed for you guys this week. But yeah, I wanted to just touch a little bit on the podcast last week and the review of the review of the review last week. I'm just gonna say this real quick, Brian. Your entire team is trash. Your starting lineup is trash. Your bench is trash. Disco, you're solid. Up and just like we're all pretty solid. I mean, a lot of us have benches that are okay. Not tooting my own horn, not saying my bench. It never said anything about mine. Never said it was great or anything. But we did not single you out. We did not shine the spotlight on Disco and be like, rat you out and just go off like Brian seemed to say we did. We definitely put the spotlight on Zach here. And fortunately, he cut a lot of the dead weight off of his roster. He had that receiver from the Patriots who was not even playing yet. Who else? You cut somebody else here. Where are the? I'm not a big fan of cutting Jaden Reed like that. You did. Zach, I bet somebody's gonna pick him up this week. Personally, in my opinion, you're wasting your IR spots on Joe Mixon and Brandon Ayuk. More Ayuk than Mixon probably. I would have dumped one of those guys and moved Reed. Hung on to Reed and kept him in your flex there. But yeah, you finally got rid of Chisholm. Did you do anything else there? So we'll see what you do. You freed up some spots, but again, you it didn't cost you this week. But I don't know why you refuse to put and keep Dak in your starting lineup here. But yeah, as for Balls Deep, Boomers Deep, I'm sorry, I should say. But yeah, just I mean, his bench, he's got J.J. McCarthy who's hurt. He's got Braylon Allen who's now hurt. But yeah, that's Chisholm, and that was basically your bench. I don't know what's going on here. If you got, I don't know exactly what it is here, but yeah, the bye weeks are starting this week, so you got some problems. Said Brian's bench also is not very good. There's really, I mean, Disco, yeah, a lot of us have benches that are pretty thin. It's again, it's a weird year. You either got nobody's like there's even in free agency. We've all just been basically covering our eyes and throwing fab darts at players, and they just nothing is really panning out. None of these lottery tickets are cashing. All these players that are on benches, nobody really is, stepping up and coming out of nowhere. Like just as we quite often there's probably a handful of people, but it's a small handful of guys who are coming off of our benches and stepping up and becoming starters. Nobody is really having very much at all. But that's true pretty much across the board. But yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of offense to Hillbillies on PCP. Not very accurately claiming that I just unloaded on Disco. And so yeah, Brian, I think we're going to do this every week for the rest of the year. Brian, your team is trash. Your bench is trash. Your everything is trash. I hate it. And you're probably going to lose every single week. That's how we're going to end the review every single week. Brian, your team is trash. Okay? Up and down, top to bottom, buns included, buns and leftovers, everything in between. Yeah, it's trash. I think that's everything for week 4 here. All right, guys, we'll try it. Let's try this again. No more injuries. We're getting ravaged here. I don't even know if Brian has another wide receiver to even put into his lineup. He might be putting Trey Tucker. You were, after trading Scary Terry, which ended up being a good move for you. We joked about how thin you were at wide receiver. So yeah, you're gonna have to plug in RJ Harvey. You've got RJ Harvey plugged in. Move Trey Tucker into your starting lineup. It's either him or Rashad Bateman as one of your starting wide receivers. So you might as well roll the dice on your free agent spend, Trey Tucker here. Yeah. And you're forced to play somebody in your flex. You're hoping that RJ Harvey starts to emerge. I think a lot of he had a pretty big game last night, but I think a lot of that was more because the Bengals just were atrocious and didn't even really put forth much of an effort. But yeah, and who else were we worried about? Ed, I think he still has Neighbors in his starting lineup. So, no, he must have moved him. As I was doing the review here, because now he's got Zay. He's got Neighbors in his flex. So he's got to figure something out. or he's going to make a move on the waiver wire here tonight. Not much to pick from. Because Golden's on a bye. He's got Dowdle. He's got Zach Ertz. Ertz is not a bad play when Jaden Daniels is in. But we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Possum Magic's said he's got Justin Fields in against Dallas. That could be a good plug and play this week for you. What else do we got? Said we do have bye weeks start this week, and said we're starting with the Packers, which means trouble for Zach this week, as he is heavily reliant on Green Bay Packers. And his starting lineup said he has also got DK on a bye. He's got Dubs. He's also got the Steelers kicker. Zach is gonna be he's struggling to put a lineup together this week. Sorry, my light is flickering back and forth here. Because currently, said Braylon Allen is injured. Currently, Zach has nobody to put into his starting lineup. He needs a receiver, he needs a flex play, and he needs a kicker. And he's got none of those currently on his roster. So yeah, Zach's going to have to make some moves tonight, or else later on in this week, finagle some stuff just to cobble together a starting lineup. So yeah, works out. That's gonna work out pretty good for biscuits and porn, perhaps. Getting in this matchup in a week where Zach said he finally got a victory, but he is trying not to drop to get back on the losing side of things. And this is not a good week to have the bye week blues here for you, Zach. So yeah, that's enough rambling on. What do we got here in week 5? Let's see. We got a bunch. Do we have 2 and 2s? 2 and 2 matchups. We got me versus Gags. We've got Disco versus Dub C. And we've got Hillbillies. And we've got Josh going together. And then we've got, Zach gets Biscuits. He's trying to drop to 1 and 3. The other 1 and 3 is Detling. He's in a rough spot this week. He's getting Justin, who's been on a tear. So yeah, not so mighty Whites doesn't want to drop to 1 and 4, but it is not looking good for him this week. But of course, anything can happen. And then we've got a good one here: Ed versus Possum Magic. Ed trying to get back to winning ways, while Possum Magic tries to climb back up the standings here. So yeah, we got three matchups of 2 and 2s, and then we've got the 1 and 3s are going up against tough matchups here. So yeah, Zach and Detling, this is going to be a big week for you, a tough week, because another loss is just digging the hole a little bit deeper that you're going to have to try to climb out of here. As the season wears on, the amount of games left shrink each single week, and it's getting tough. Yeah, every win is big in Tonto's Demise. You need to get to like 7 or 8, and you only get so many chances. And you can only dig the hole so deep before you're either done or you're trying to claw your way into the playoffs. All right. Anything else? I don't think so. That's it. I think even though I think I've already said that before. That's it for week 4. We'll come back here next week to talk about the events of week 5 as we head into the month of October. Yeah. May all of your players meet or exceed expectations. Everybody has fun. Nobody gets hurt this week. And we come back here to talk about week 5. All right, guys, thanks for listening, watching, or whatever it is you do. I just assume that none of you ever get to this point anyway. So yeah, Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks again, and bye bye.